So, welcome to the Realty Plus Real Talk series, where we talk to industry experts to know their honest views and opinions and real facts and figures. And let me tell you, friends, today we have with us Mr. Sankey Prasad, Chairman and Managing Director, India for Colliers. He has over 35 years of real estate experience and has delivered some of the most complex and challenging projects for investors, developers, and the occupiers of real estate. So, Mr. Sankey Prasad, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Sapna. So it's my privilege to be with you today.
Thank you, Mr. Prasad. And let me ask you the first question that we have in our mind is about the new visual identity for Colliers, which it unveiled recently as part of its global brand strategy. So just give us a small brief about what was the concept behind it, what was the reason for this new visual brand identity.
Sure. Thank you, Sapna, for that opportunity to talk about Colliers. The Colliers brand is more than our name. It's our enterprising culture, mission, and values. This month, we announced the launch of a new visual identity as part of our global brand strategy. Designed for today's evolving digital era, the refresh is a natural evolution of the iconic Colliers brand. We are enterprising. We invest in relationships to create enduring value. Our people accelerating success of clients and leading the industry into the future.
Okay, that sounds good. Keeping in sync with the changing times, as you mentioned, the world is moving towards digital. Talking about the current times, when we are talking about, let's talk about the Indian residential real estate segment. Most of the government's efforts have been directed towards home buyers, giving them a lot of incentives to boost the demand. But project finance remains one of the biggest worry for the developers. What would be your views on terms of how developers can address their liquidity challenge, what they are facing right now?
Over the last year, the government has initiated several reforms in 2020 and in 2021 aimed at home buyers and developers to steer the real estate sector. The government has implemented a multi-dimensional approach, giving major boost to housing and home loans to stimulate the industry. The Pradhan Mantri Yojana Credit Linked Subsidy Scheme, the stamp duty reduction, circle rate reduction have encouraged home buyers to invest in property. Overall, government initiatives have been beneficial to the sector, helping developers at a time when they're facing major liquidity challenges. We propose that the tax holiday scheme to developers for affordable housing be extended by at least another 2 years, and it needs to be tied to the aim of housing for all by 2022. Additionally, liquidity enhancement through one-time structuring of loans will give a huge relief to developers reeling under stressed assets. Of more stressed funds akin to the special window for affordable and middle income housing, called the Swami Fund, the dedicated vehicle to finance completion of stress projects, affordable and mid-segment housing. Swami Fund, announced by the government in November 2019, has a target corpus of INR 250 billion, which is USD 3.4 billion, and targeting to benefit around 458,000 housing units across 1,500 odd stalled projects. We recommend private investors to consider partnering with the Swami Fund to participate in the opportunities presented by the fund's last mile funding strategy. Moreover, a simple taxation system for home purchases by subsuming taxes under the GST, introducing single window clearances for affordable projects should be looked at. An improvement in enforcement of contracts should improve confidence among lenders and bring in increased capital from a variety of sources. We also advise developers facing acute cash flow shortages to look at entering into the joint development or the joint venture or even outright purchases or sales with established, well-funded developers who have a good track record of delivering projects. The industry is going through a churn and restructuring as needs, wants, and desires of customers have evolved.
That's right. We already are seeing a lot of consolidation happening, a lot of JVs and joint agreements between a lot of developers for construction and development. And as you rightly said, yes, loans restructuring. I think single window and stamp duty extension of stamp duty would be a great help, in terms of getting the cash flows from the customers. So those were some points that Mr. Prasad has mentioned about liquidity challenges that the developers are facing. So private corporation, the private companies coming forward and making contribution towards that. That would also be a great initiative, I think, towards creating cash flows in the industry. Mr. Prasad, related to this is that there was also a very important announcement, which was about creating a bad bank. To help with banks deal with their rising NPAs, to help them start increasing their lending. In terms of real estate, do you think it would expedite resolution of stressed real estate assets? Will this creation of bad bank be helped through real estate sector as well?
That's a very good question. The government is planning to set up a bad bank under which an asset reconstruction company will take over the bad loans of commercial banks, manage them, and sell them to the investors. This is especially beneficial for Indian banks who have been facing a very portion of non-performing assets, and it will help them cut their losses and focus on their core business. In the real estate sector, the banks can take over stress assets in the sector and help turn around such assets before selling them to investors. Overall, this is indeed needed to help banks shift their focus from recovery and cutting losses to focusing on lending to developers with strong track records. However, there are challenges regarding the pricing of such assets during buying from bank and selling to investors that needs to be looked at. I think that's where the key focus has to be, as to how do we balance between the two.
Okay, so the implementation and finding the value of the asset is where the whole key of the success of this lies. Uh, that's very
Exactly.
true. I think, although it's a step in the right direction, but let's see how it unfolds. Uh, Now coming to the commercial real estate, again, a lot of developments we have seen in last 2 years. We have seen a lot of enterprise level deals in flexi space. We have seen a lot of institutional investors' interest in Indian office projects. A lot of big developers. We see a lot of big deals happening in terms of monetizing of their commercial assets for their growth strategies. REITs performing well. Mostly it was the international REITs. What is the pattern you see emerging here in this segment?
Institutionalization of India's office sector is happening at a very fast pace. Institutional investors continue to view rent yielding office assets favorably, despite a large part of India's workforce working from home over a year. They are committing their investments because they are bullish on India's long-term prospects and are providing patient capital, which is the need of the times. During 2020, office assets accrued for 46 total inflows, which is totaling to about US dollars 2.2 billion, which is about 15,450 crore rupees, with the sector showing resilience. The opportunity to bundle up assets and list them as a REIT has encouraged investors to aggregate grade A assets across the country. With investors already picking up major portfolios of developers, we see investors now finding quality ready assets hard to come by. And some are undertaking development risks and constructing newer office parks. Some prominent examples include GIC, Macquarie, and Alliance. Further institutionalization of the commercial office sector will continue at a steady pace and should be encouraged in India, as it benefits developers, occupiers, and even retail investors as the markets are maturing with international best practices being followed.
Okay, so institutionalization of commercial real estate is what Mr. Prasad is saying, and it should be encouraged. Yes, it's a good news for the real estate because with commercial real estate is connected the residential real estate segment as well. Again, another sunrise asset class which is known in real estate is warehousing. A lot of developers are now looking at it to expand their portfolios. Um, E-commerce is one of the biggest drivers for warehousing. Lot of potential in this segment, but also a lot of challenges. So what are the challenges that you foresee for developers in this segment, along with the potential?
Yeah, over the last 3 years, if you look at the India's warehousing sector, it has seen immense interest from investors, led by the goods and services tax regime and accordance of infrastructure status to the sector and India's fast-growing e-commerce sector. Traditionally, India's warehousing sector has been characterized by godowns and small warehouses. However, that is changing now. There is a huge opportunity for us in this space, led by the massive demand for quality warehouses by consumer-oriented sectors. A fully leased grade A warehouse can offer a yield of 9 to 11%, which the sector has seen notable deals over the last couple of years with large funds like the GIC or the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, Ivanhoe Cambridge, Ascenders, and Blackstone, who have invested into the sector. From a challenge perspective, developers and investors have to deal with land acquisitions, which is fraught with a lot of red tapeism. Moreover, inadequate physical infrastructure industrial areas are often challenging to warehousing companies and makes transportation of goods a longer process. That, I think, is going to be the key challenge, how we will be able to simplify it and give that access for these properties, because they all come at a much lower rental base with a higher yield. So we need to see how that can be evolved into a much easier and a more transparent system to get to it.
And I think with the government focus on infrastructure now in the budget also, there has been a big focus on developing the infrastructure. I hope this would help this segment majorly, the warehousing segment, bringing connectivity and infrastructure to the remote parts of and the peripheries of the cities. So, Mr. Prasad, we spoke about the residential segment. We have also spoken about commercial and the warehousing, the new asset classes which are coming in. Uh, for 2021, overall, what would be your forecast, the top three forecasts that you would like to make for year 2021 for Indian real estate?
Yeah, first I would take on commercial. After seeing a 41% decline in demand in 2020, we believe that in keeping with occupiers will optimize their office portfolios in 2021 and 22. Employers' priority is their employee safety and convenience. Occupiers approaching lease expiration are undertaking portfolio optimization efforts by letting leases expire, relocating to cheaper and smaller offices. For perspective, in 2021, leases expiring total about 81 million square feet, 7.5 million square meters, with 65% of these being smaller than 10,000 square feet. You're talking of 929 square meters. We note that Delhi NCR especially is witnessing this trend, with occupiers moving to locations such as the Golf Course Extension Road in Gurugram, etc. Bolstered by increased demand from e-commerce players and third-party logistics providers, the warehousing sector is likely to see much faster growth. We expect a demand for core assets located in strategic locations like the Chakan Talegaon cluster in Pune, Nelmangla, Dodbalapur in Bengaluru, and in clusters along the National Highway 16 in Chennai or National Highway 48 in Gurugram, or you take it as National Highway 19 in Kolkata, that enjoy easy connectivity, like you said a little before, on the infrastructure, huge investments that the government is planning, and the connectivity to ports, national highways, airports, that's going to remain strong. Demand for advanced warehouses that cater to regulatory compliances, security, and quality checks will gain traction as shoppers continue to embrace the grocery e-commerce. To ensure cost optimization and increase competitiveness in the industry, warehouse operators will increasingly adopt IT-driven solutions, including Internet of Things, the IoT, and warehouse management system, that which is the WMS, to track inventory, an analytical approach to forecast demand to avoid depletion of stock. We also find that in 2021, we're going to see increased opportunity in the data centers and quality industrial and apart from commercial offices, whose sheen has not diminished. In terms of DCs, India, the data centers, India is about 1.2 megawatt per user of co-location data center capacity when compared to Europe's 19.1 megawatt per user data center capacity, providing a huge opportunity for data center operators to give a boost to data. The government has proposed close to 800 million rupees, which is $1.1 billion fund for the financial year 2021 to set up data centers and IT parks across the nation. In addition, the government's Personal Data Protection Bill 2019 mandates that an individual's data should be stored locally, encouraging firms to set up data centers in India, which is also boosting the demand besides the increased digitization that is taking place across the economy. Coming to residential, I think it's going to continue because it has long been overdue for a rebound, and we are seeing the traction across India. And for 2021 and 22, we feel that is going to continue, especially at the mid segment and the lower segment. Interestingly, we are finding even at the premium segment some traction across India, which is a good sign on the residential sector.
Okay, so all in all, good news for Indian real estate. We are going to see rebound in residential segment, as Mr. Prasad said, in all segments from lower to even the luxury, and data centers, warehousing are something to look forward to. The new asset classes which are in demand, and which again government is also focusing quite a lot on them. And as on commercial real estate, Mr. Prasad said, optimization of space is something that most of the occupiers would now be looking at. So all in all, I think it's a good news for Indian real estate, Mr. Prasad. Before we let you go, what are the growth and expansion plans for Colliers? What are your strategic plans for the year 2021?
So as Colliers, we are a diversified professional service and investment management company with operations in 67 countries. We have more than 15,000 enterprising professionals who work collaboratively to provide expert advice to real estate occupiers, owners, and investors. Colliers was the first international real estate consulting firm to establish in India. That was in the year 1995. Over the past 25 years, Colliers International has become a market leader in providing a comprehensive range of real estate services to its clients in India. It has been able to build upon its international strength to establish a very competent skill base in India, with close to 2,700 people in India operating out of 11 offices across India. The foundation of our service is the strength and depth of our specialists. The foundation of a service, as I said, is the strength and depth of a specialist. Our services include the tenant representation, industrial and logistics services, capital markets and investment services, project management, valuation and advisory services, real estate management services, such. We are an enterprising group of people. We understand the client's needs. We protect their interests, and we are a group of people who look to run on behalf of the clients and the real estate industry. It's complete services that we provide, right from the needs of a leasing of a building to the project management to the facilities management or capital markets as to raise money for a project. We are growing at the fastest pace and across. We are listed out of NASDAQ and the Toronto Stock Exchange. It's close to $5 billion as a valuation of the company. So a strong company having a very strong background, having the international support and expertise to take us to lead the industry into the future. That's in a brief about Colliers. And the most important part, just to add, we at Colliers, we invest in technology applications and platforms that allow us to lead the industry. We realize that a one size fits all approach to client technology solution rarely serves the best interest of its clients. Our unique and user-friendly innovative technology offerings turn data into insights. Colliers 360, Colliers Mobility Pass, Workplace Expert, Back to Work Navigator are the leading in-house developed technology tools that provide complete coverage for clients, corporate real estate, workplace strategy, project management, and facilities management technology needs. That's in a brief on what are we providing and what we are looking at the future in India for Colliers.
That sounds fantastic, Mr. Sankey Prasad, given the length and breadth of the services being provided by Colliers. Again, the agility to keep in sync with the times. And as you mentioned, one size does not fit all. This is we cannot go with that adage anymore. And also, again, with the legacy of 25 years, that kind of experience behind Colliers, the future looks good not only for the organization, but as Mr. Prasad said, the future does look positive and quite encouraging for the Indian real estate segment as well. So thank you, Mr. Prasad, so much for being here with us, sharing your time and sharing those very valuable views for our, the people who are watching us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sapna. It was my privilege. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.